When I was little, I guess about 7 or 8, we get all of these cookies, right? Then they come back and they be like, Shan, what are cookies? But I've been sold the cookies to everybody on the street for 50 cents. But that's kind of, I guess that's where my hustling came in at. Just always wanted to be an entrepreneur and want to sell stuff and make stuff.
Man, Greg, he been smashing, no cap.
Actually, it started right here in my grandmother's kitchen. It's been like 20 years ago. Right on this, it's a different stove now. We didn't upgrade it, but all of this used to be my manufacturing area right here. It lasted a good month and a half. She put me out, and she's like, "Nah, we ain't finna do this in the kitchen." But this is my granny kitchen, y'all. Same wallpaper. This also where I grew up too. This city gas, this is where I grew up. This is, you know, my grandma still live in the same house. It don't look the same in the front because once I made a vow to be committed to these candles, I was like, the first thing that I'm gonna do is get my granny house remodeled. So you see they doing all the regentrification on the street. So I was like, man, we kind of looking a little raggedy around here. You know what I'm saying? I was like, let's give it a facelift. So that was one of the first things I did. I guess when you say I started being able to have a little financial freedom, I don't call it having money or having rich, but just being able to pay my bills and having some extra left over was the first investment that I cashed out on. I use it as a ministry, and I was watching Martha Stewart. She was making candles. I've always loved candles, but I could never find a candle that I burn it for a little while and smell it. You know, I would always buy a candle and burn it all day. And I used to get in trouble right in this house for burning candles all day long. And I still could never really smell it. So I was just watching Martha Stewart. I was like, let me try to make some candles. Then I started thinking, what if I really made a really good candle that really smelled really good and that people would really like, and I can introduce it to the audience that I already have. Because like I told you, I'm a hustler. I always sold stuff. So I was selling purses and everything because I was a flight attendant. So I used to go to New York, get all these purses, come back the same day, sell them the same day, I'd be out. So when I came with the candles, it was just a matter of, Shan, what you got now? What you selling now? I'm like, hey, I got these candles, they good. And I hear people tell me all the time, they was like, man, I just bought a candle just to really support you. And then I bought it and it was really good. So those customers that started with me in this kitchen are still my customers that's with me online and on OST right today. I always started out, I made profit, but I probably made like 24 candles and it took me all day long. Right now it may take me 5 minutes or 3 minutes to make 24 candles, but I would make them by the cases and it would take me all day long. Yeah, that was just the start. And then it turned from 12 to 24 to 36 to 48. And by the time I got to 60, it was like, you tying up the kitchen, we can't cook. You got dye. You might see some dye and stuff still some places that wouldn't come up. But they're like, no, time up. All of this used to be filled with candles. All of this filled with candles. All over here filled with nothing but candles and wax and everything. So yeah, this is my first manufacturing lab. This is a new stove. This is not even the stove I started with. It was like, you know how it go tick, 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 tick. You got to get a match and put it under there, move back real fast for a light. That's the stove that I started on, making candles with a pot, with another pot, and put wax in there. You know, that's why when I teach the candle making class now, I teach it as if you're going to come in your kitchen, just like this, and make candles. So it's no excuse once you take that class not to be on to bigger and better things. Everything is off the stove because the wax has to be melted, and that's the main part of candle making is the wax. So everything has to be off the stove. So I had to melt the wax on the stove, kind of like you melt cheese. You have a double boiler. So if you don't know what that is, it's a pot with water and another pot in it, and that melts to keep the direct heat off the wax. So that's what I did. So I had all these aisles filled with wax. I had this whole thing over here filled with jars. This whole thing filled with jars. Then I had all of the oils and all the fragrances and the wicks and the glue gun. Everything was right here. So I would wick up the jars, put them over here, come to the stove, check the wax, pour it in the pot, come back over here, mix it up, and then pour these jars. And do the same thing on all 4 aisles until I ran out of wax. And once I ran out of wax, I package them. My little cousin come and he helped me clean them, put the lids on them, put them in my trunk, and I'll go sell them. I'll come back, I don't have anything but cash. Yes, it always smells good in here. People used to be like, they walk by and they can smell it. Because after I got put out of here, after about a month and a half, I went to the back porch and made them back there. So I kind of like did it right here instead of doing all the mixing and stuff here because I was messing this stuff up. I went out there. Then one day it started raining and I'm like, man, what I'm gonna do? So my auntie, you know, we'll go by there. She stayed maybe like 6 streets over. And she had a garage, so I was like, man, this is my new spot. Put the radio out there, put a speaker, you know, hey, it's my new spot right here. So I started making candles in her garage, and I stayed there for like 3 or 4 years. It was from the kitchen to the porch, to the garage, to a small storefront, to a bigger storefront, to Alameda, to online, to worldwide. When I first started the business, because it wasn't a business at first, it was just a hobby and a passion and a hustle. But when I first started, I always knew that I'll be where I am now. I didn't know how long, how much time, but that's the driving force behind the passion, you know, because you never know. You wake up today where you might be tomorrow. But when you love what you do, it doesn't even matter. You know, you just doing what you love, and you know one day it's gonna pop off. And then when it pop off, you be like, oh, it's gonna pop even harder, because now I got more dreams, I got more things that I want to do. So yes, I always knew that I would be successful.